Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight. Dreaming is easy. Everybody dreams, everybody talks. Everybody says, one day I'll make it. But you know what separates winners from everyone else? They don't wait for one day. They take action. To why we live in a world where people are addicted to comfort, scrolling, watching, wishing, while someone else is out there grinding, building, executing. You say you have a dream, good, but dreams don't work unless you do. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. You're not stuck. You're not unlucky. You're just not doing enough. Time is the one thing you're wasting the most. Every hour you spend doubting yourself, someone else is getting better. Every day you delay, someone else is moving ahead. And let's talk about failure. People are scared of failing. Why? Failure is not the enemy. Failure is the greatest teacher you will ever have. You try, you fail, you learn, you adjust, you go again. That's the game. But instead, most people quit after the first loss. They go back to dreaming because dreaming feels safe. Let me make it clear, nothing great was ever built inside a comfort zone. Most people fall in love with ideas. They sit around thinking, planning, imagining how great something could be. They talk about business ideas, content ideas, life goals like they're already successful just because they thought of something. But the reality is simple ideas mean nothing without execution. You can have the best idea in the world, but if you don't act on it, it has zero value. Meanwhile, someone else with a very average idea, but who actually takes action will outperform you every single time. Why? Because the world doesn't reward thinking, it rewards doing. Execution is where everything happens. It's where you test your idea, where you learn what works and what doesn't. It's where you face reality instead of living in imagination. When you execute, you get feedback, you improve, you adjust. That's how progress is made. A lot of people delay action because they want everything to be perfect. They want the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect skills. But perfection is just an excuse. While you're waiting to be perfect, someone else is already making mistakes, learning and getting better. They're gaining experience while you're stuck in your head. Execution also builds confidence, not thinking about doing something, but actually doing it. Every step you take, even if it's small, proves to yourself that you're capable. And that confidence compounds over time. It turns into momentum. Another important thing is that ideas change once you start executing. What you think will work often doesn't. And what you didn't expect might become your biggest opportunity. But you'll never discover that if you stay in the dreaming phase. Execution is uncomfortable. It forces you to face rejection, failure, and uncertainty. That's why most people avoid it. It's easier to dream than to do. Dreaming feels good. Execution feels hard. But only one of them moves your life forward. At the end of the day, success is not about who had the best idea. It's about who showed up, who put in the work, and who kept going when things got tough. Time is the one resource you can never get back. Yet it's the one people waste the most without even realizing it. Every single person gets the same 24 hours in a day, but the difference between those who succeed and those who don't comes down to how they use those hours. Most people think they have plenty of time, that they can start tomorrow, next week, or next year. But the truth is, time doesn't wait. It keeps moving whether you act or not. A lot of people spend their days on things that don't move their life forward, scrolling endlessly, watching others succeed, making excuses, or overthinking. Hours turn into days, days into months, and before they know it, years are gone. They look back and wonder why nothing changed, but deep down, they know they didn't use their time wisely. Time is your biggest asset because it's directly connected to opportunity. Every minute you invest in learning a skill, working on your goal, or improving yourself is a step closer to where you want to be. On the other hand, every minute wasted is an opportunity lost forever. You can make more money, you can gain more knowledge, but you can never recover lost time. Successful people understand this deeply. They don't wait for motivation to show up. They structure their day around what matters most. They prioritize growth over comfort. While others are sleeping in or procrastinating, they're putting in the work. It's not because they have more time, it's because they respect it more. Another important thing is realizing that small chunks of time matter. People often think they need long, perfect hours to start something meaningful. But even one focused hour a day can completely change your life over time. Consistency with time beats intensity that comes and goes. Using your time wisely every day creates momentum that builds into something powerful. There's also a harsh truth. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to something that actually matters. Time forces you to choose. If you're not intentional, you'll end up giving your time to distractions instead of your goals. At some point, you have to ask yourself, are you controlling your time, or is your time controlling you? Failure is something most people try to avoid at all costs. They see it as a sign that they're not good enough, that they're not capable, or that they should stop trying. But the reality is completely different. Failure is not there to stop you. It's there to teach you. Every mistake you make carries a lesson that success can't give you. When you fail, you get real feedback. You see what doesn't work, where you went wrong, and what needs to change. That kind of clarity is powerful. It forces you to improve, to think differently, and to come back stronger. Without failure, you're just guessing. With failure, you're learning. The problem is that people take failure personally. They attach it to their identity. They think, I failed, so I am a failure. That mindset destroys progress. Failing at something doesn't define you. It's just part of the process. The most successful people in the world have failed more times than most people have even tried. The difference is they didn't stop. Failure also builds resilience. It teaches you how to handle pressure, rejection, and disappointment. These are things you can't avoid if you want to achieve anything meaningful. The more you experience them, the stronger you become. You stop fearing them and start using them as fuel. Another important thing is that failure often redirects you. Sometimes what you think is the right path isn't actually the best one for you. When something doesn't work out, it pushes you to explore new options, new strategies, or even new goals. Many people discover their true choice only after things didn't go according to plan. People who succeed don't have a special ability to avoid failure. They just have a better relationship with it. They expect it. They accept it. And most importantly, they learn from it quickly. They don't sit there feeling sorry for themselves. They analyze, adjust, and take action again. There's also a speed element to this. The faster you fail, the faster you learn. The faster you learn, the quicker you improve. If you're trying to be perfect and avoid mistakes, you slow down your growth. But if you're willing to take risks and make errors, you accelerate it. At the end of the day, failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of it. Most people rely on motivation to get things done. They wait to feel inspired, energized, or excited before they take action. The problem is motivation is unreliable. Some days you feel it, most days you don't. If your progress depends on how you feel, you'll always be inconsistent. That's where consistency comes in. Consistency means showing up every day, whether you feel like it or not. It's about building habits that don't depend on your mood. Because the truth is, the people who win are not the ones who are always motivated. They are the ones who are disciplined enough to keep going even when they're tired, bored, or unmotivated. Think about it. Doing something once in a while doesn't change your life. Doing something every single day does. Small actions repeated over time create massive results. 1 hour of focused work every day is far more powerful than 10 hours of random, inconsistent effort. Consistency also builds trust with yourself. Every time you follow through on what you said you would do, you strengthen your self-belief. You prove to yourself that you're reliable. On the other hand, when you keep waiting for motivation and skipping days, you slowly lose confidence in your own ability to commit. Another important thing is that consistency removes overthinking. When something becomes part of your routine, you don't waste energy deciding whether to do it or not. It becomes automatic. You just show up and do the work. This saves mental energy and keeps you focused on progress instead of excuses. People often underestimate how powerful consistency is because the results are not immediate. In the beginning, it feels like nothing is happening. But over time, those small efforts compound. They stack up quietly until one day, the results become impossible to ignore. There will be days when you don't feel like working. Days when everything feels slow and frustrating. That's normal. What matters is that you don't stop. Even if you do less, you still show up. Because missing once can turn into missing twice. And that's how people lose momentum. Consistency is not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's about committing to the process, not just the outcome. When you focus on showing up every day, success becomes a byproduct of your habits instead of something you chase occasionally. At the end of the day, motivation might get you started, but consistency is what keeps you going and gets you results. Accountability is one of the most powerful traits you can develop, yet it's the one most people avoid. It's easy to blame others, your situation, your background, your lack of resources, or even bad luck. But the moment you start blaming, you give away your power. Because if everything is someone else's fault, then there's nothing you can do to change it. Taking accountability means owning everything in your life, the good and the bad. It means accepting that where you are right now is a result of your actions, your decisions, and your habits. That might be hard to hear, but it's also empowering. Because if your choices got you here, then new choices can take you somewhere better. A lot of people stay stuck because they're waiting for someone to save them. They expect opportunities to come to them or for someone to guide them step by step. But successful people don't wait, they take responsibility. They figure things out, they learn what they need to learn, and they take action even when they don't have all the answers. Accountability also forces honesty. You have to look at yourself and admit where you're falling short. Maybe you're not working as hard as you think. Maybe you're wasting time. Maybe you're making excuses instead of progress. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. You can't improve what you refuse to acknowledge. Another important part of accountability is consistency in your actions. When you hold yourself responsible, you don't let yourself off the hook easily. You set standards and you stick to them. You stop negotiating with your excuses. You understand that every action you take or don't take has consequences. It also builds discipline. When you know that no one else is going to do the work for you, you stop relying on external pressure. You create your own internal drive. You become someone who follows through, not because you have to, but because you've decided to. People who lack accountability often live in cycles. They start something, quit when it gets hard, blame the situation, and repeat. But when you take full ownership, that cycle breaks. You start learning from your mistakes instead of running from them. You become more focused, more resilient, and more in control of your direction. At the end of the day, accountability is about control. Not control over everything that happens to you, but control over how you respond, how you act, and how you move forward. It all comes down to one simple truth. Your life changes the moment you stop waiting and start acting. Dreams, time, failure, consistency, and accountability are not just ideas. They are choices you make every single day. You can either stay where you are, making excuses and waiting for the right moment, or you can take control, put in the work, and create the life you want. The difference between who you are today and who you want to become is what you choose to do next. Thank you.